myself, my team, and a brief overview of Silverleaf Solutions. Shiva Shankar Medipalli, who is the Senior Licensing Consultant, will spend 20 minutes sharing expert tips on optimizing enterprise licensing costs. With deep expertise in licensing strategies, Shiva will guide you on right sizing expenses, ensuring your businesses pays only for what it needs while planning for future scalability. Next, we have Jay Tucky, who leads Origina in the APAC region. He will take next 20 minutes to discuss achieving significant cost savings through independent support for enterprise software. Drawing on his experience with IBM, HCL, and Ingram Micro, Jay will explain how to sustain value from perpetual licenses and explore market options during renewals, offering actionable strategies to optimize software investment. We are excited to hear his insights and recommendations. Next, we'll dedicate 15 minutes to an interactive Q&A session where we'll address your queries. Please feel free to type them in the chat box at any time. And finally, we wrap up the session. So to start with, my name is Prerna and I'm associated with Silverleaf from past 8.5 years, and it's been an incredible journey here. I take care of business development for Silverleaf. Joining me today, we have my team members, Akshay, Vishali, and Vanshika. We are privileged to have with us Mr. Mayank Srivastava, the founder and CEO at Silverleaf Solutions, and Mr. Shishut Parthi, Vice President for Business Development and Strategy. Now, let me provide a brief overview of Silverleaf Solutions. Founded in 2016 and headquartered in Gurgaon, Silverleaf Solutions is a global independent and research-based organization specializing in software licensing advisory and cost optimization services. We assist clients in optimizing multi-year software licensing contracts from Tier 1 and Tier 2 publishers. Operating in India, the US, Singapore, and the UAE, we have proudly built an 8-year legacy, delivering value to a diverse global customer base. In today's tech industry, businesses are facing significant challenges, including layoff by giants like Google, Amazon, Microsoft. As we step into 2025, over 34,000 employees have already been impacted by job losses this year, highlighting the urgency to find cost-saving measures. At Silverleaf Solutions, we are here to help organizations tackle these challenges head-on. By leveraging technology, we focus on optimizing costs, streamlining operations, and ultimately safeguarding jobs. Through today's session, we'll explore how cost-saving strategies can empower your organization to navigate these economic uncertainties and protect your workforce. Thank you once again for joining us. Without further ado, let's dive into the discussion. Now I would like to request Shiva to take the discussion forward.
Yep. Thank you, Prerna. Thanks for the nice introduction. So, just to the audience, so as you know, I'm just following up on the statement that Prerna has just made. So we are here to cut costs in areas where we feel that that are going to be beneficial for you as business, rather than looking at job cuts as a solution. We help you unlock savings that you never believed that were there in your software contracts. And how do we do that is something that I'm going to take the next 10 to 15 minutes to walk you through. And I hope you're able to see the screen. There are typically 6 dimensions that we look at whenever we talk about cost savings within the space of software licensing. Before even going into the dimensions, one news that I wanted to highlight was there are many changes that are happening to Microsoft from a product portfolio perspective, on also on how they're going to sell their licenses in the future. You might have heard of the news that Microsoft is trying to get away with enterprise agreement for a while. There have been rumors in the past that enterprise agreement will no longer be available for customers, but it is official now. But with it comes with a small note that Microsoft will no longer sell licenses in volume licensing contracts such as enterprise the Microsoft EA in direct markets. Of course, it's not going to affect the India region, but this is something that you need to, take in, keep in mind as well. But we are also hearing from industry sources that, Microsoft might try to, you know, adopt the same strategy for small customers, in level A and level B space, with the Microsoft customer agreement rather than the EA. So it's not directly going to impact Indian customers as of now, but yeah, potentially in the future, Microsoft is looking for a way to get rid of the Microsoft EA. That's one bit of news that we wanted to start our discussion with. And another set of news that we recently heard was on the Teams separation from the Microsoft bundle of products. If you were buying Teams as part of your O365 and 365 licenses, you're protected. You're not affected by this news, but if you are a new customer who are looking to get onto the Microsoft's bandwagon of the modern workplace and trying to purchase Teams with the default licenses that you purchase, it is no longer possible. I'm afraid you'll have to buy Teams licenses separately if you are a new customer now. But yeah, it also kind of makes it an opportunity for organizations who are specialized, who are using software, communication software, especially like WebEx, Cisco, or Slack. For them, it is much easier now because the cost of Teams is separated. But whether that makes sense for you to separate it from your default licenses is something that we can have a detailed discussion on. But yeah, you can now purchase Teams licenses separately. But if you're a new customer, keep an eye out. You no longer get Teams license as a default with your O365 and M365 licenses. So yeah, leaving that there, I'll just come back to our discussion now. Uh, Whenever we say cost optimization in the space of software licensing, we typically look at the costs that you are spending on Microsoft EA, Oracle, Oracle ULAS, IBM, any other agreement that you can name. But the methodology is going to remain same. These are the six main buckets or dimensions that we look at. uh, I'll just try to detail what the first bucket means. The first bucket that we generally and typically look at is contract evaluation. So I'll give you an example of why this makes sense or why this is important. Why this is an important lever while we look at these kind of software licensing reviews. So what happened is recently we've been contacted with a customer who has a user base of about 60,000, but they have entities, smaller entities of 6,000, 7,000 spread across India. We came to know when we, took their contracts and had a detailed, study and an understanding of pricing and understanding of how the SKUs are set up. We got to know that the main entity is paying a less price for the same licenses that a sister entity is purchasing. The main entity's cost is much lower as compared to what the sister entity is paying for. So let's take an example of the Teams license. The main entity is paying about $40 for the license, and the sister entity is paying $60. They are the same companies. They are in the same same they're in the same group, but the costs that they're paying are different under different agreements. And that is one of the finding that we were able to highlight to the organization, that you have licenses that are signed under different contracts, and also with the same set of features that your users are using in different entities, they are paying different costs, which is unfair because the features and the set of products that are under the BOQ are same, but when you look at the costing, it is jacked up by around 10 to 15%, which we believe was unfair, which was an advantage that the OEM took because the contracts were negotiated at different points in time. So that is one another area we look at in terms of contract evaluation. We look at all the different types of contracts that you have. We also tell you based on your consumption if there are any subset of users who can be signed under a different agreement, which can make a better commercial for you. That is another area that we look at in contract evaluation. Another piece that we look at contract evaluation is typically when there are mergers and divestitures happening, uh, you might have entitlements of or SA, or you have perpetual licenses, you have software assurance that you have signed under an entity, and you you will be asked to pay an additional charge whenever you make a request to Microsoft or Oracle to transfer your licenses from a sister entity to the main entity that is purchasing that is purchasing or that is taking these licenses under a group wide contract. During these times, Microsoft or Oracle comes up with a general one-time transfer fee, which we believe is not fair because these licenses are just your licenses, which you have made the investments for in the past, and there should be no charge associated for just transferring these licenses. So we also look at the time of diversions and mergers, what would be the best way to transfer your licenses from a sister entity to your main group wide contract under the EA, or you can call you can take this analogy for other publishers as well. And at the time of this contract evaluation piece as well, we also look at things on the licensing evangelization side because uh, in a recent customer, what we have encountered was they have licenses of SQL purchased under the subscription model, and they've been paying this subscription cost since the last years. The reason why they choose the subscription model in somewhere around 2021 was because of the fact that they wanted to have a less capex burden, because whenever you go on to purchase under the L plus SA model, the license plus the support model, you would typically be incurring a high capex, and they did not want a high capex. They wanted to, they were okay with a high opex at that time. But now what they realized after 3 years was, even though they made investments since the last 3 years, they do not have any licenses perpetualized to use in their sub entities where running on-prem workloads makes sense because of the way that the environment has been set up. So that is kind of a summary of what we do in the contract evaluation section. I'll also move on to the next piece now, which is licensing exception. So this is an interesting one because what we've seen with our experience since the last 1 year is, you know, customers of the same size signing deals in the same region. Let's say somebody is in southern part of India and somebody is in northern part of India. The exceptions that they received in terms of grants and in terms of payment terms are way different from the customer X. And this is something that we were able to, understand through our, industry research. And what we've also, saw is whenever you go back to Microsoft, when you're signing an EA, when you're trying to have these renewal negotiations, the standard term for the agreement is 3 years. But we have helped a bank sign an agreement for 5 years as well. They have locked in the prices for 5 years with a small, price uplift at the end of 3 years, and also a clause to, get out of the agreement, if they want in between. These kind of clauses are not standard or not programmatic to Microsoft, but these can be achieved if you believe this a 5 year deal makes sense for you, because we believe that it whenever an organization is trying to invest on a large scale, perpetualizing or locking in the prices for a 5 year makes better sense because of the benefit that they get. Because whenever they go from one technology to other, let's say somebody is trying to evaluate, coming on from Google to Microsoft, a Google suite from Microsoft. Whenever they're coming into Microsoft, it's always good to make that investment from a 3 year and a 5 year ROI perspective, and that's where these kind of exceptions make sense on helping you negotiate a term that is custom to you based on your needs, whether it's a 5 year deal, whether it's a payment term which is supposed to bump up your payments, or structure your payments in a way that it is not hitting your P&L in this year. That is something we look at in the licensing exception. So this is something that I talked about in the contract area, but in the licensing space as well, the exceptions that are available are too many, and we generally see that it is a trend that customers are not able to maximize the exceptions that they get under their contract or under their licensing term. So we've seen people, or customers paying for SA, but not able to maximize their virtualization rights. We've seen, customers paying for, support, but never logging a ticket with Microsoft in the last, 6 or 7 months. So this is something that we can help you as well to understand what kind of exceptions that you have or that you are entitled to as a customer, and how do you maximize these exceptions as well. That also comes under this segment. So now I'll move on to the BOM optimization session. Before going into the BOM optimization piece, if you have any questions, I would like to take them now. If not, I'll just continue. Okay, I'll just
So,
continue. Yep.
so Shiva, let's complete the session first. If there are any questions, we'll definitely pitch in.
Sure. Thanks, Ajay. Yeah. So in the dimension of BOM optimization, what we typically look at is, uh, understanding, what is the, usage pattern or the usage, frequency of a user. What happens is Microsoft today has hundreds and hundreds of SKUs that are available in their price list, which are giving a different or a variant set of features. But yeah, typically what's used is just M365 or O365 SKUs. But what we've been able to identify with customers is whenever people are purchasing a bundle, it is generally sold as you would get maximum ROI from this because we'll be giving you more products for a lesser cost. But we found that not to be true for all customers, because uh, even though if you get many features or many applications as part of your 365 or the M365 bundle or any other license that you purchase, what makes or what matters is the kind of uses that you have on the product. And what we do is we help you develop these custom setup of SKUs defined between a set of users within your organization. So what we've seen as a pattern from Microsoft is whenever they're trying to get onto an EA deal, they try to get the entire organization on a single SKU, and they try to keep the SKU generally at a higher price. This they would suggest you need to be on M365 E3 for the entire organization. But what we have discovered is that might make sense in some situations where people have not been making any investments for Microsoft in the past, but people who are existing customers, it would not make sense to them because of the fact that whenever you look at one size fits all solution, there is always inefficiencies or usage gaps that would not be maximized in terms of cost that you place, because we've seen that people would be given M365 E3, but they would not even be using their exchange services to a maximum extent. And what we do in this area is we tell customers specifically on how their usage is since the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or 180 days, to tell them these are the top set of services that you use in a typical given time frame, and based on this, these are the different set of SKUs that make sense for your organization rather than going with a one size fits all solution. And also, once we understand how your usage goes, we also try to sit with your with your uh, tech teams that typically look after your deployments, that typically plan your product life cycle, especially for products like Oracle database or maybe SQL, Windows Server. What we do there is, typically in the world of Microsoft, you don't have to pay for security updates, but many customers, uh, and in the fear of losing out security updates, they purchase software assurance, which is not true, because security updates and support patches under Microsoft are free, and Microsoft has a 10-year period which allows a mainstream support for the product without having any support that is directly contracted with Microsoft. And we typically sit with customers to help them plan their upgrades and align them with their SA purchases as well, so that they don't make any investments that they'll not be able to utilize in the next 2 or 3 years. So that is on the BOM optimization piece. I'll just move on to the next dimension now, which is price benchmarking. price benchmarking is typically what we do here is we've been working with clients since the last decade. So since the last 10 years, we've accumulated a lot of important and relevant data that could be very relevant for you, making you more empowered when you're having these negotiations, because whenever you get a proposal from Microsoft, making that distinction between whether the proposal that's given to me is on par with the discounts and the exceptions that are given to customers within the same region of same size is something that we believe customers would not have an insight into. And that's where we come in with our industry research and data points that we've gathered over the last 10 years to tell you what kind of discounts and unit prices that you can expect this year based on the size and the product portfolio that you have as on date. And we also help you understand what kind of back-end rebates and incentives that you get from Microsoft whenever you sign an agreement or whenever you renew an agreement. And we also help you identify the local accelerators. When I say local accelerators, I'm typically talking about the local incentives that the sales teams from the OEM will internally define, to make the sale or to boost their sales. So, for example, in Microsoft, in India, there are some promotional offers that go on every 6 months, if I'm not wrong, which are typically restricted to India only, because of the fact that they would want to capture more and more customers now. They are running these kind of local promotional offers and accelerators, which will help customers get a pricing that is much lesser than the actual list price that they publish on their website. And they also provide discounts on top of the promotional offers that they give. So that is something that we can help you identify as well, if these kind of offers or these kind of accelerators, if they're running at this point in time. And then we typically help you with your negotiation strategy, and will give you support in all your conversations throughout your annual period, since the starting of your renewal negotiation to the end of releasing the purchase order. What we do in the negotiation strategy is we try to help you uh, put in a structure and a kind of a roadmap on the steps you need to take to receive the results that you would have defined at the start of the engagement. Because discounting and getting a better deal, or getting a proposal that is exceptionally better as compared to your peers is going to be a tough task, because of the fact that not all people in Microsoft or Oracle are able to allow or approve these kind of exceptions on prices. But these are only possible when you make specific asks to specific people within your within your own structure, and they will be able to tell you whom in Microsoft or whom in Oracle that you need to reach out to at what time and with what kind of ask. And that is something that we do as part of our negotiation support. And then I would also want to continue with the modulation piece. So what we do in the modulation side is, we whenever we having these conversations, we've seen Microsoft allowing some exceptions in case of their security products and their online services with very custom metrics defined for any organization. So if you believe that a user based metric doesn't make sense for you because of the way that you consume a kind of service, which is putting you at a disadvantage, we can look at an we can help you look at alternative metrics or alternative licensing metrics that you can make an ask to Microsoft based on the usage pattern or based on the ROI pattern that you see for a uh, for a product. When I say about custom licensing metrics, we also talk about evaluation of alternative technologies, not specifically to push you to move away from Microsoft or any OEM that we are trying to help you advise upon, but it is typically to make you or give you an idea during negotiations to have a weapon uh, in your strategy to say that there are other products that are available at a price that is much cheaper than you and provide features that are on par with your technology. And switching them, we have incentives, and this kind of evaluation will help you uh, in your negotiations as well, because this kind of uh, generally activities or reviews that you do on alternative technologies, which will kind of send out in news in the industry, which will make the OEM come back to you in a better with better terms, because of the fact that you are trying to evaluate all the options that you have. And I'll go on to the last piece, which is price arbitrage, because this might be a little irrelevant for customers who are in India, but if you are if you are purchasing any licenses that are outside of India, or through a location that is not India, but there are markets and economies where the pricing at list price for Microsoft is very low as compared to the India and the US prices, wherein you can get that advantage of developing markets and downward economies to make a benefit for you based on the price arbitrage and the economical differences that you get. And we can help you weigh your options in terms of finding out the best location to sign your deal from. And we also help you understand what are the tax optimization and tax implications that you will run into whenever you're trying to sign a group level contract that is for that is aimed at organizations or entities that are spread across the world. So yeah, I think that's the summary in terms of the dimensions that we look at, the methodology that we follow in terms of putting in these dimensions into place. So if you ask us if you ask us what would be the best time, even if you're engaging with us, or even if you're engaging with any consultant, or you yourself are planning for a renewal, we would suggest that you start very early. The earlier that you start, the better it is for you to have these conversations and have a more comprehensive analysis of your contract to keep you in a better place. So I'll end my my time with that note. I'm happy to take any questions if you have during the Q&A session. So I'll pass on the dais to Mr. J.
Thanks, Shiva. I'll share my
I
window.
see somebody has their hand up.
Hey, hey Shiva, thank you.
Yeah,
I have a question. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, right? You mentioned about usage patterns couple of times. So is that something that you automatically can gather and get, or are
Yeah.
you reliant on the support teams in the organization to give you some metrics around the usage patterns?
No, we analyze the entire set of database that you have. Let's say for an example of Microsoft, you would have tools typically storing these data, right? We would need we have some procedures and SOPs built in, wherein we can help you download these reports, but we would need somebody's help from your team to extract the reports. But the analysis and the patterning and all the nitty gritties around it is something that we take care of, but we need somebody's help to get the reports out.
Okay. Okay, there's another question, right?
Yep.
So we have indirect procurement team, we have software asset management team.
Yep.
How are you? How are you different to those teams? How is
So your
Silverleaf different?
Yeah, your software asset management team, I think their primary or their primary goal and aim is to, keep you compliant and get your inventory in place, right? What Silverleaf does different is our primary objective when we, engage or partner with you is to deliver cost savings
Okay.
and keeping you compliant as
So
well. It's not
I'll
we're not. Yeah, yeah.
I'll typically take that one, Shiva. So this is Mayank here. The idea is normally SAM teams which are there in the customers organizations are doing more of operational tasks. So we consider ourselves to be an extension to them to be able to give more knowledge around licensing, help them determine how compliance positions can be established, and also alert them in case of any non-compliance has been found at any point in time. So the idea is to look at us as an extension of that team, and they will continue to operate the platform from a day-to-day basis in terms of provisioning, deprovisioning of licenses, and so on and so forth. But then there'll be a team of subject matter experts who understand licensing quite well, and they will update that team on the changes that have happened, the implications of those changes as far as compliance is concerned, and also to help remediate in case there is non-compliance found. All of this works as an external support to your existing SAM team as of now. This is on the SAM side of things. On the indirect procurement that you spoke about, we provide a lot of additional services in terms of knowledge around benchmarking of discounts and pricing structures that will probably help them understand of how a pricing is done differently. Now, let's take an example. I know the discussion was primarily on Microsoft that Shiva spoke, but then if you look at ServiceNow or Salesforce or SAP for that matter, including some of the cybersecurity vendors like CrowdStrike and so on, all of them have different parameters and a licensing waterfall, which or a structure which differs from vendor to vendor, product to product. Now, all of this knowledge is what we can share with your indirect procurement teams as an extended team of theirs. And then all of this information we can share with them depending on what they're trying to buy. And probably that will help them to take a much better, well-informed decision in advance. So it's like an extension to both the teams with a little bit of more research and knowledge that we typically have around those products or those contracts or those licensing terms. I hope that helps
Got it.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else has any other question on this one? I think in the interest of time, we should move to the next one. Prerna, over to you. Thanks, Shiva.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Shiva. Thank you, Mayank. So now over to you, Jay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. My name is Jay Tucky, and I come from this side, Origina. Origina is one of the solutions to these problems that Shiva has outlined for you in the first part of our session. When you go through with a company like Silverleaf and you work out to understand your technology, the mix of licensing, and what you are trying to get from it, Origina is an option that you can engage post this, and we can provide you with independent support and maintenance for your enterprise technologies at 50% of the price you pay to the vendor. Today, I'm going to give you a short outline on Origina and how we provide this 50% support saving and allow the opportunity to ask any questions. All right. So because most people haven't thought about this or haven't heard about independent support, I use an analogy at the start to help people understand what we're really doing. So forgive me if this is oversimplified, but I'll move on pretty quickly. When most people go out and they buy their brand new car, forevermore, they will get that car serviced at the dealer that has the same logo as the person that sold the car to them. So in that case, you might go out and buy a Mahindra, and you buy your Mahindra and you get it serviced with Mahindra every year for the next 5 years because the logo is the same and you think that's the best. You don't know the service, you don't know the skills behind the person that is servicing your car. You are relying on that logo. Now, there may be better options out there in independent garages and mechanics who can provide your car with better support because they specialize in your car. They specialize in the Mahindra four-wheeler that you are driving. And they will provide you with many advantages and benefits over the years, including a tighter relationship with them to look after your car and your interests because they value you as a customer. In the software world, the same is true, where you are able to go to the vendor for yearly maintenance and support, or we highly recommend that you assess other options as part of your due diligence to ensure your organization is receiving the best, and you can work with a company like Origina through Silverleaf. Now, what I've described today in that analogy is very high level, and it may seem like this is not a solution that big companies use. Well, I'll start us off by saying that actually very large companies that are smart with their procurement do use this strategy, because there are a number of reasons why they may want to de-risk their relationship with the vendor or purely seek cost savings. One of the other areas that we commonly see customers work with us on is legacy equipment or legacy software that is getting very expensive to have OEM support for. So they choose to have their maintenance and support with a vendor like Origina who does not penalize you for having old software. So here is the logo slide. These are a portion of our customers that is a testament to the size and scale of independent support and the people that have vetted it before you. Now, on this slide, there are a number of industries, there are a number of countries, and there are a mixture of private and public sector. My favorite there is NASA, because if NASA is confident in Origina to take care of their enterprise software, where they used IBM to get to the moon, then that is good enough for me and most other companies to know that NASA, as a highly regulated, advanced company, have investigated this. So to think about what themes might you be experiencing within your day-to-day life that would make you think that independent support is a good idea. Your software might be coming to the end of support and you're wondering what to do because you'll probably have an extended support charge placed on you by the vendor. You might not be seeing constant innovation that comes from the vendor in software releases that are timely and consistent and reliable. You may be experiencing vendor lock-in. Now, one of the areas we specialize in is VMware, and we have had an exceptional number of customers that over the last year have been put in lock-in situations because Broadcom and VMware have changed the licensing structure and not let you leave. This is bad for business, and this can force people into toxic relationships that can be difficult to get out of, and year by year can have cost increases. This is, again, an area we help. The product roadmap misalignment, and IBM is listed here, it may also be VMware, where you do have the product going this way to focus on artificial intelligence and blockchain and quantum computing and all of this fantastic stuff, but your business actually needs to go along this road, and you need to have more simple pieces that are reliable, robust, and enterprise grade, as opposed to focusing on other areas. And you may also be seeing increasing costs with poor support. This is not what you pay for. This is not why you pay top dollar. Like in that car analogy, if you are paying top dollar, make sure you're getting it. However, you should also be evaluating different options as due diligence. If any of these themes are present in your relationships with your software vendors, I do recommend listening up, because we're going to go into how that can give you significant advantage. We also want to help you save money. As I mentioned at the top of this presentation, Origina provides support for 50% of what the vendor will charge you. And this is okay if you have a discount from the vendor or if you have an ELA. We are more than happy and comfortable to provide 50% of the lowest figure that you can prove. What this does is this is freeing up budget for innovation. This is a Gartner study that was last done in 2023. And what it looks at is companies and CIOs who are spending money. It asks them, how much of your money are you able to spend on innovation, the new things that the business is asking for? I think about Copilot. I think about artificial intelligence and real value add to the end customer and the organization using it. Now, the CIOs in this study responded that 90% of the funds they are spending are keeping the lights on, leaving only 10% on transformation and innovation. Now, that isn't exactly the best mix, because with rising prices and increasing vendor tactics, we do find that 90% is being squeezed and you're having less money for innovation. What we aim to do is shift from the left-hand side to the right and increase the value of money that is available for business transformation by making significant cost savings on your software, so that you can reinvest that to move faster and stronger to your business transformation initiatives. Get that AI project done faster. Put more of that reserved capital back into the project with more consultants, or be able to increase the compute power that you can offer to your customers on large events. So what is third-party support? Gartner, who we mentioned, is a fan of third-party support, and for the last 5 years running have recommended Origina as one of their top suggestions. Third-party support is a lower cost alternative to the maintenance and support charged by a mega vendor. Now, when we talk about mega vendors, the support that we specialize in is IBM, VMware by Broadcom, HCL, and also Red Hat. These vendors traditionally have perpetually licensed software where you can provide your own support. They are prevalent within the organizations around the world, and they are being squeezed consistently to have increased prices with no extra value. Independent support, as I've just mentioned, doesn't have a relationship with these companies. So we allow you to operate on fresh, new terms of a relationship, and we are much more transparent on how you receive your support and how we price that support at such a level. This is one of the large benefits of working with a company like Origina, is you don't have that large ELA that comes due every few years that you know you are going to see a price increase on. Now, this support is not only for versions that have gone end of support or end of version. We can provide support for all versions of the software that have been released for all time at no extra charge. So you are not penalized for using the right software for your organization because it has worked for you for many years. We support the full enterprise stack of applications and operating systems that you might be using, and do not make any changes to how this is used within your organization. We want to support you using the right software. The biggest difficulty with independent support is most customers don't know that they have that option. Like the car analogy, most drivers don't know that they can go and have their four-wheeler serviced at different garages. They may be thinking, I can only use the vendor that sold it to me. One of the benefits we find is that this is a highly consultative process, and working with a company like Silverleaf and Origina together mean that you can find out more about how your company needs to use technology, how they are using technology, and then with Origina, you can implement the strategy on saving cost and rationalizing the technologies you do use all in one place. And that is the benefit of partnering with the both companies that we are here to talk about today. The core service offering of independent support is also the same as what the vendors provide. This is 24/7 by 365 support for every product that is within those vendors that I mentioned previously. But if you do have a large vendor that is giving you grief, please do mention it to one of the team at Silverleaf, and they would be more than happy to provide an opinion on how they can assist. What we do is we work with independent support, global independent experts for support, and these experts each have a minimum of 15 years experience with their piece of software. These vendors are provided back to you as the customer and your technical teams as a named resource. So you know when you pick up the phone that you're going to be speaking to Jay, your WebSphere consultant. This is key so that you're able to not only build a relationship with this person and have them understand your environment and your goals, but also so that you are able to trust that they have your best interest at heart and they are able to provide you with the best support for that technology, because everyone's jobs relies on this. So we put a lot of seriousness in making sure that you trust the resources that we assign to you. We provide a software license entitlement capture as part of the onboarding process that takes a look at all of the pieces of software that you're entitled to use and captures the details and the data behind that so that you can save that as you are legally allowed to do for later use. And if you are not on the latest version, you can use those entitlements that you have had up until the time of your maintenance and support cessation to upgrade to those versions. Now, I do have to say that you are not able to upgrade past when you have cut off your maintenance and support. However, There's a slide later that does ask, why would you be upgrading if the technology is stable and if it works for your organizations? There are a number of different ways where that is not within the best interest of the organization, and we're more so looking to keep stable so that we can divert cost and effort away from keeping the lights on and towards making technological jumps and creating innovation. On security, we actually contact you if there are any issues in the security community about the software that you are using, and we proactively say, hi, we think that there is a vulnerability generally on this piece of software that you have with us. Please make these changes to protect the vulnerability and to mitigate any potential harm. This is very different to what the mega vendors would have you do and have your security teams manage this themselves. This allows you again to take pressure off managing the everyday and focus on innovation. One of the areas that we like to think is the right thing to do as well is when we have support. Oftentimes customers will pay support to a vendor and will see no benefit because they don't raise any tickets throughout the year. The technology is stable and the customer feels that they are not getting value from it. And the question each year is, why renew? Origina takes this very differently. And what we provide is every quarter, if no tickets have been raised, we will take the named support providers and we will have a quarterly meeting with everyone to understand, let's use this time as free consultancy time, up to 4 hours a quarter, so that we can say, how can we improve the product that you are using? How can the business derive more value from the product? Are we trying to improve performance, stability, reliability? Let's help you with those areas. This means that every year you will be seeing value from the maintenance and support that you are offered at no additional charge. To articulate which software products Origina support, we are able to, with a combination, support the full stack from infrastructure all the way up. What we've done to demonstrate this is from the yellow bar, where we can partner with Silverleaf and another provider to give you aged hardware support. We can also support the operating system on top of that hardware. Then we can move fully up the stack from virtualization hypervisors like AIX, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. You might have ZOS, or you might have VMware. You've also got operating systems that sit on top of that I've mentioned a few of. We support databases, middleware. Quite a large amount of software is coming under this. Not to mention end user applications as well that we see people using, like IBM Cognos is a very large piece for us, but we are certainly not limited in what we're able to work with an organization on. We like to address the criticisms that we might get from customers up front. So what we do is we do ask, if you are concerned about not being able to upgrade from moving to independent support, why are you actually upgrading? Now, there might be one of 3 reasons, and these are a bit tongue-in-cheek. So your business might be in perfect harmony with IBM's future roadmap, and you can see that you are going to get value from every single upgrade that is going to come in future on a technological matter, and that your business and IBM's business are perfectly in unison. That would be a wonderful picture. In that case, you should upgrade. Or, and this is my favorite one, the business is able to see a direct correlation between a product enhancement and the upgrade that you bring for that, and your revenue, cost, and growth. You're able to see that as soon as you upgrade, your profits increase. If you have exactly that, you should upgrade. Or you believe that a manufacturer will have security upgrades that provide no additional risk to you by upgrading. And what I mean by this is, if you have to upgrade one piece over here, the other 10 pieces of software that rely on that will work perfectly afterwards and have no interoperability challenges with new versions. Again, if this is you, you should upgrade. However, most companies are not falling into that bucket. Most companies are not using new versions. They are not seeing immediate value from upgrading, and they are not seeing that it remediates all security risks. So we do challenge upgrading, and we do think that customers should be thinking about why they are upgrading, and if not, leave it where it is and simply protect, enhance, and maintain that software so you're able to provide the business with more forces in other areas to provide innovation and new technologies. And again, provide upgrading simply because IBM or VMware has said that there are new versions that we must have you on. That is not a good enough excuse from our perspective to make a large change in your technology stack because of the vendor. We think that every user of technology should use what is right for them and not be forced into changed upgrades. Now, this is another benefit of looking at independent maintenance. Say you have a legacy tech stack which has been working for you, and you're now looking to do some digital transformation and move to a desired end state with fantastic features like mobile connectivity, like increased connectivity on different pieces, having the ability to use mobile desktops and low code applications. You might think that this modernized end state provides you with where the business is going. And you might also have some great outcomes of this, like cost savings from cloud providers and synchronicity between the services they provide and AI pieces. You're painting a great picture of where you want to get to, and you're thinking about the brilliant areas that could come from that. However, unfortunately, there's a blocker to you getting there. That blocker is a sticky legacy application that has been around because it was implemented 10 years and the business has now built a core around it. In that situation, we recommend looking at alternative support who is able to take that sticky application, are able to move it into a gold standard support model from Origina and is able to allow you to conduct the rest of your transformation with alternative support in place for that sticky application while making cost savings to be able to focus on the digital transformation, removing the dependency of this large piece of technology and having a vendor and a provider like Origina and Silverleaf who are able to guide you on how to get where the business really wants to go. So there are two scenarios in which Origina makes sense for a lot of customers. One is simply cost savings. If you are spending a lot of money with vendors like IBM, VMware, Red Hat, and HCL, and you wish to be able to reduce the amount of money you're spending with these vendors, Origina is a fantastic option that you should consider. It's very easy to provide a price and a bill of materials to you. Again, your Silverleaf representative can help you with that. Otherwise, we can also help you eliminate tech debt and move beyond tech debt to the point where you're able to use new and modern services to empower digital transformation through your business. A few other points that I will finish on is we're able to help you reduce risk. In your organization's risk of being audited, risk of compliance issues with the vendors is significant. And I'm sure if you've been in one of these situations, it is quite scary because the bills are in the millions and millions and millions of dollars or rupees. What we are able to do is remove that risk from your business because you are no longer beholden to the next renewal that you must have this sorted by. We provide protection and we provide professional services if you are ever audited by these vendors. And as part of moving to Origina, we also provide you with the opportunity to work with us and Silverleaf to make sure that your enterprise licenses are valid, they are entitled, and there is no risk. So that should you be audited and have a compliance check at any time, you're able to provide them with a report and say nothing has changed because we are working with Origina and Silverleaf and they provide us with the trust we need. Everyone, my name's Jay Tucky. I am the head of partnerships and sales at Origina for Asia Pacific. I thank you for your time and attention today. If there are any questions, I look forward to answering them shortly. Back to you, Prerna.
Thank you, Jay. So if anybody has any question, please let us know. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us
Hello.
today. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because I'm traveling, maybe I'm not audible, but to whom to contact for further discussion?
You can
For
contact.
further discussion. Oh, sorry. Was that for Origina or Silverleaf?
Okay, that I will just share the contact details. We will be in touch with you.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We truly appreciate your time and support you have given us out of your busy schedules, and heartfelt thanks to Shiva and Jay for their invaluable insights, and to our esteemed audience.
And
For
before concluding, one more thing. You will do assessment of hardware and software separately, or you will do it together?
We provide software audits and support and can provide you with that. However, what we do is we also ask if you do need hardware support and you do need a point of view there, we can introduce other hardware maintenance providers into the mix to give you two halves, you know, the hardware and the software that come together to give you the solution. So we can definitely advise on that and have some great providers.
Mostly what happens is, because when you go for like a databases license, at that time we will augment our hardware also. Okay, so that's why. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yes, we can manage those because there's different licensing implications on capacity and subcapacity licenses and core base licenses, etc. Every year at a renewal, we could use some of that time from those meet the expert sessions to make sure that you are compliant and to ensure that any hardware changes that you've had across the year keep you in compliance with the licenses you hold. Great question. Were there any more from the audience while we're here?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have a question. This, whatever you told was primarily dealing with IBM software and the underlying operating system. This doesn't apply to Microsoft or Adobe or any other products, right?
The way we're able to do this is use your perpetual licenses, and then we provide the maintenance and support. Those vendors that you've mentioned often don't license perpetually, and they instead license on a term basis. There are providers that can do you term-based support. However, it's not as applicable if you're using a subscription model. From a Microsoft point, if you do have a perpetual Microsoft license, we're more than happy to assess it for you to see if it is possible. So I always like to say it's worth asking the question because 50% savings is an incredibly large number.
Okay. And if I go with support from or through Silverleaf, do I violate any of the OEM licensing policies? If I have both kind of supports in my environment, partially some of the licenses going with the OEM directly, and then partially going with the old licenses with Silverleaf or through Origina.
Great question again. We call this a hybrid support scenario, and it's very common for customers where they may be seeing support and increases from the new versions by staying with the OEM, but there may be a portion like WebSphere, for example, that they don't change and they don't want to change their messaging queue, so that they would move to us. In this case, we with Silverleaf, we assist you in negotiating with the vendor to make sure that you get a better price because you're now reducing your bill of materials. and we can rationalize the cost savings. Again, we can provide an assessment here free of charge that allows you to understand the best outcome that could be achieved, but you are not violating any licenses as long as you do not upgrade, as long as you don't have half of the licenses for one product supported and then half of them unsupported, and then you share upgrades from one to the other. So that would be the only scenario that we've heard of where you could get into trouble. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. You're simply not renewing with the vendor, and they don't have anything to do for you there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, so thank you again. So we hope you found today's session informative and gained actionable insights into how Silverleaf Solutions and Origina can assist your organization in addressing economic challenges through strategic cost-saving measures and technology-driven solutions. So your feedback is incredibly important to us as it helps us refine and tailor our services to better meet your needs. On the screen, you'll see a QR code for the feedback form. Please feel free to scan it now or keep an eye on your inbox. We'll be sending it to you shortly. So thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have
Have
a
a
good
good day.
day.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.